Hi, my name is Randy Cerner. Deacon Dave asked if I would share a few things with you about my experience of praying in tongues. I was baptized in the Holy Spirit in 1968. That was way back at the beginnings of the charismatic renewal. And when I was first prayed with, I did not pray in tongues. Everybody was saying, well, you can pray in tongues, and they were encouraging me to pray in tongues, but I just didn't. There was something inside of me that was felt like I was holding back. And so, needless to say, when I was at prayer meetings, I started to feel a little uncomfortable, a little out of it. Everybody else was there praying in tongues, having a great time. And here I was still wanting to pray in tongues. And I had asked people to pray with me 3 or 4 times over a period of weeks, and still nothing happened. Now, I think I began to realize that part of my problem is that I'm a very cerebral person, and I'm someone who needs to understand things. I'm someone that works out of my head mostly. And so for me, tongues was something I didn't understand, didn't make any sense to me. Why would anybody want to pray in tongues, not understanding what they were saying? And more importantly, what's the point? If you don't understand what you're saying, why do you want to be praying in tongues? Also, the kind of person that I was, it seemed a little on the, I was going to have to step out, make a little bit of an idiot of myself, perhaps, feel a little silly. And so I was realizing that I was working with a brain barrier here, that my brain was at work keeping me from being able to experience praying in tongues. But even though I realized that, it didn't necessarily change my ability to pray in tongues. Well, one weekend, we were having a day of renewal at a particular parish, and during the lunch break, I had gone over to the church to just spend some time with the Lord because I really wanted to sort out this praying in tongues business. And this was a beautiful June day. The windows were open at the church. This was an old church that had ivy vines all over the church. And so I was in church just quietly talking to the Lord, saying, Lord, I really want to pray in tongues. What is the problem here? Why am I not able to do this? And so as I was sitting there, I became very aware of the birds. There were a gazillion birds in these ivy vines outside the church. And they were just chirping away. They were just putting up a bird racket. You know what it's like when birds are just chirping away. And at a certain point, I felt like the Lord sort of nudged me a little bit and said, do you hear those birds out there? They are doing what birds do. They're chirping. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying, but they're doing what I have given them to do as birds. They chirp. And because they are doing what I have given them to do, they're bringing glory to me. And then I felt like the Lord took this the next step and said, I have created you to be my son. I've created you to live in the Holy Spirit, and I've created you to experience the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And one of them is a gift of tongues. And your using and employing the gift of tongues is something that brings honor and glory to me. At that moment, it broke through my brain barrier. Then I realized this was more a matter of the heart, the spirit, the will, rather than a matter of the brain. And so at that point, I just very quietly started to pray out in not English. I just started to make sounds. And at first it seemed a little uncomfortable, but then it got a little easier. And after a few minutes, I found myself just all of a sudden kind of flowing in this kind of prayer. And just this deep sense of joy, satisfaction filled me. And I knew that, God had done something. He had spoken to my brain to get past my brain in order for me to be able to experience this wonderful gift of tongues. And I do pray in tongues every day, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter for various reasons, but it has been a really invaluable prayer tool for me. So I want to encourage any of you who, are having some kind of a brain barrier here with the gift of tongues to recognize that it's not so much a question of the brain, but a question of the heart, the will, and the spirit. I want to again thank Deacon Dave for giving me the opportunity to speak to you about this. May God bless you, and I hope all of you have a blessed